Hello everyone. I am so excited that you're sharing this little time with me and taking this time out of your day. If you will go and turn all of your notifications off, find a quiet corner to get away from the kids, which I know is really hard. I had to lock myself in my room even to do the video. So I know how hard it is to try to have time for just yourself for just a few minutes. But I'm going to try to keep this short and condensed, but at the same time, there are some very important things I want to share with you because, a lot of times in our health, we always feel like that we may be the only one that is feeling like we're feeling. We may be the only one that feels like we're not seen or heard or loved, or that we're the only one that just is having some health issues that we can't get past, or we've tried everything and we can't get to the other side of what it is, and we keep having to take the medicines and we keep gaining weight, or we keep just feeling tired and wore out, and we keep feeling the same, and we're tired of the same. We're tired of doing the same rotation every day, but we don't feel well enough to even be able to move forward to do something different about it. And that was where I was about 10 years ago. It was so hard to even just think about the fact that I wanted to get up, stand up, and go to the kitchen to make a salad. Like, to do something that simple was difficult. So I know if you're in that place, I understand. If you're sitting there thinking, I'm too tired to even watch this video because I'm exhausted. I don't feel good. My body's tired. There's kids screaming and there's always something going on and I can't even think for 2 seconds. And I just want to sit here. I understand. I've been there and I do get it because that is where we live as moms. That's how our body functions. We feel like we just don't take care of us. We've got 50 other people to take care of. And it's not even just our immediate family, it's all of the other people that are out there that we feel like we have to try to tend to. And so many things that we're just stretching ourselves way too far and we can't get it all done. So I hear you, I see you, and I know, I understand completely how that is. So today we're going to really take a step back. We're going to take a little journey into the past, and we're also going to look at our present, and we're going to look to our future and see all of the amazing things that God's going to do in your life over the next year, because it is going to be awesome. So I really want you to try to really focus, put in your earbuds if you need to, so that you can really hear and really understand what's going on, and try to take just a little while to listen and focus on what I'm talking about, because this can change your life, and it will, and it changed mine. And it is amazing. So years ago, I did not understand anything about health at all. I had wanted to go and do nutrition in college, and I ended up deciding I wanted so desperately to get married instead. So I quit school, went to beauty school, started doing hair, and then got married. And all I ever wanted to do was take care of my kids. I wanted to take care of my home and my family. So that's what I did. I wanted tons of kids. We ended up with 6. I wanted lots more, but my body said that's going to be all. And so we have 6, and which they're awesome and wonderful, and I love them. But about baby number 5, my body decided that it had had all that it could take at that moment, and it stopped. It stopped completely. So I had to, I literally sat all day, all the time, because I did not know how to function to do anything else. I had no energy. I hurt all over all the time. My feet stayed swollen and they hurt constantly. And I guess people laugh at me now because I don't wear shoes hardly ever. And I guess it was from that time, I could not wear shoes because my feet stayed swollen and they couldn't go in shoes. And so it actually physically hurts more to put shoes on than it does to go barefooted, which I know sounds nuts. But that's where I was. And that's still one of those, I guess, kind of a PTSD kind of thing now that my feet just don't like shoes. So it is one of those things that can totally just get you to that bottom place. I was depressed. I felt like my... And I've tried so many times to put this into words, and it's so hard to, but if you're in this place, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. I felt like because I was 80 pounds overweight, that I could not be seen. I felt like I was hiding myself behind this weight, and like nobody could touch me here. And I know that sounds crazy, but if you've been in that place, you kind of know how that feels. Like you're sitting, you're almost, you don't want everybody to see you. You don't want to not be seen, but you don't want to be seen. You want somebody to pay attention and to care, but yet you don't really want to have to put yourself out there because you're too tired and too worn out and you just can't do anymore. So you're just there. You don't have the energy to go to the kitchen to do something healthy because that takes work. And you just don't have it at all. So you sit. And that's all I did for months. I just sat. And I couldn't do anything. The bigger kids were doing things for the little kids. I was miserable. And I was just miserable at myself. I just sat. And I felt like I was not a good wife. I was not a good mother. I didn't know how to take care of the kids at the time. So all of that came to this screeching halt and this screeching, like, kind of a brick wall in front of me one day when I realized that, like, I could not get out of the floor. I sat down to change the baby's diaper and I could not get back out of the floor. I hurt so bad that was too much to have to do. And I just sat there and cried. And I thought, Lord, I'm going to die before I see this baby grow up. And like that hurt more than anything. But I did not know what to do about it. I didn't know how to change that. I didn't know how to fix it. All I knew was this little teeny tiny bit of stuff that I had learned taking nutrition classes. But even that was like, it didn't help me. It didn't register. And with these 6 kids came 1 with epilepsy, 4 with PKU, which means they couldn't have any meat at all. And so they are, like, the doctor calls them glorified vegetarians because they can have like peanut butter and cheese and eggs, like pieces of that, little small pieces of that, but not too much of that because it makes their levels go up. If it builds up in their brain, it causes brain damage. So we have to be extremely careful on what they eat. And so all of that, I felt like I was making 3 or 4 meals, different types of meals every day because everybody had different needs. And it was tiring. And so, like, most of the time I was just like, go grab cookies, go grab chips, go grab, like, whatever. I don't care. Like, they were just taking care of themselves and it was horrible. And at that moment, when I'm sitting in the floor and I couldn't get back out of the floor, I realized at that moment that I had to do something. Like, I didn't know what that thing was, but I knew I had to do something. And the only thing I really knew that was a possibility that maybe I could do was try to lose some weight. I didn't know how to do that. I had yo-yo dieted my entire life. And I would always, I would lose, 10, 20 pounds, but then gain it right back. I didn't know how to keep it off. I really was not sure how. And then once I got married, then it was like I would lose it and then get pregnant again, lose it, get pregnant again. I mean, it was just always this same cycle. So I really didn't know the true, how to lose it and keep it off. But at this point, I thought, well, maybe if I lose it, then at least maybe I can get out of the floor. Maybe it would, because I was just relating it all back to that one thing, just to the weight, not realizing anything else was going on inside my body. And so I went to the bookstore and I stood in front of the whole entire weight loss section of books and I started reading backs of books. And I probably stood there for several hours, not really standing because I didn't feel like standing. I grabbed a pile of books off the shelf and I would sit on the floor and look through these books and see which one looked like something I might could do. And I was like, okay, Lord, I need you to show me out of all these things, which is the one that's going to be the best one for me. So in the end, he led me to the Atkins diet. Now, Atkins is like extreme, like you don't eat anything but vegetables and a certain amount of carbs, like you're cutting everything out except for vegetables. Now, at the time, it was like super extreme. I didn't even know how I was going to even make myself do this. And I still, even at that, I was not the greatest at it. I did start losing some weight though. So then as I started losing some weight, I started gaining some energy, which did help some. It did help. All of my pain started going away. Like all these things started coming away. And so I started feeling different and feeling better. So I realized that there was something to this. But then, you start hearing people say, well, it's not good for you not to eat these other things. You got to have all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. You've got to have this balance and whatever. So then I was like, okay, well, maybe this isn't the healthiest way for me to do this. But at the same time, I felt better. I was able to start functioning some. And during this same time, I had a friend who was like, okay, I have some supplements and things that I think would really be good for you. So I started looking into some of these other things and into some supplements that was going to be better, giving some of those nutrients that I might be lacking still. Still didn't understand all of these things. So fast forward to this has been a journey, like a huge journey. So fast forward to about 3 years ago, and I decided that I really wanted to understand why, when I went to this extreme, what that did to my body. How did that help me? What is the very best way to take care of my health? What in the end is, when it comes to supplements and all those things, what things do you need? What do you not need? What is a must? So I went back to school and started doing functional nutrition. And so it took me about 2 years to get through with that. It was amazing. Now, when you think about functional nutrition, it's not like regular nutrition, like we think of in terms of, I am, here is your little food chart and you're going to do things by the government food chart. No, this is taking your body and finding out exactly what's going on inside your body, and then taking that to heal your body, allowing your body to heal itself, which is the basis of everything. God made our bodies to heal itself, which is amazing. And He made it to do the things. So I learned so many amazing things through that and realized what it was that I was doing in the past that was causing my problems, while at the same time learning what my root causes and my root issues were, that I could actually fix those, change them, and then live this life that feels better now than I have in my entire life. Healing the celiac, healing the emotional depression, the sadness, all of these things that had just been eating at my body for so many years, and it was amazing. Borderline diabetes, having high blood pressure, high cholesterol, all of these things that my body was going through at that time alleviated, which was amazing. Now, we can't just, and that was one thing that at the time I thought, oh my goodness, I'm just going to not eat anything for the rest of my life and it will just be fine, But then over time I realized, as I started going back to school, there are certain nutrients, certain things that our body has to have to function, to still keep our mental capacities, our hormones, all of the things doing the things that they're supposed to do. We can't just live on nothing. So over the last 10 years, it has been developing this plan specifically so that I can help more people to develop better health all the way around. Now, I absolutely love essential oils. I love Young Living. I am very much not, I don't do any other essential oils or anything, because of the fact that we want to make sure that everything that we're using is completely pure, is completely safe. It does not have toxins in it, and it does not have any kind of extra synthetics or anything like that. And Young Living does not. I know how they process it. I've been to the farm. I've seen how it's distilled. I see how things are done. And so I trust them with everything. But even through, as much as I use Young Living and I love the oils and I love the supplements and I love all the things, it's not a one size fits all, and it's still not a let me try this one thing and then it doesn't matter about everything else. You can't just use lemon and expect your body to go back to this perfect natural state that it should be in. Everything comes back to taking care of your body in general. So we want to make sure that And for a long time, I kept thinking, well, if I just use this and I just use this, then that's going to take care of the problem. It's going to fix these things. No, it's not going to fix it. You still have to take care of yourself. Now, sometimes all of those things get out of whack, and we have so much going on, and like we are running all the time. So eating great is not always going to be the option. I try to go for this the 20-80 rule, that eating good 80% of the time, and then 20%, you're going to have those days. So we have to kind of go there sometimes, and it's okay. We're not going to be perfect. So do not think that this is all about perfection and doing everything exactly by the book, because it's not. That is not how life works at all. So today we are going to talk about 3 things that are must-haves for your body, the must-do things to help your body heal itself, and to do all of the things to get to those root causes that is causing your problem. Now, we hear a whole lot nowadays about hormones being out of balance, or you need to exercise more, or you need to do these particular things, or don't exercise at all, because then that's throwing the hormones off more, or like there's just 50,000 different things. And so I've gone and researched all of these different things and learning all of the different aspects, and none of them are wrong. It's just we need all of these elements, but we also have to have them in the certain order, and we have to take care of them a certain way. We can't necessarily just throw them all out there. We can't just say that everything's about hormones, because some people may not have that issue. We can't say everything's about exercise, because it still has to have something to do with your food, because about what we're putting into our bodies, and not just food, but everything that we're putting into our bodies, even our shampoos and our conditioners and the things that we put on our face and how we bathe and all the things. Like everything comes back to this place. So we're going to talk about 3 secrets today that are going to really revolutionize the way that you take care of your body, and that take care of your health in a different way. Now, are you ready? Because we are going to break down these 3 things. The 3 secrets that I have for you today are things that it has taken me a long time to figure out. And when I finally discovered them, it works, and it's great, and it is a must for us to know. Number 1 is the non-negotiables in our health. Number 2 is the deficiency in our in the sufficiency of how we take care of what's going into our body, the being deficient in certain areas. And secret number 3 is dismantling the dysfunction that's in our bodies. So all 3 of these things are going to make this beautiful world that we live in, make it all balanced and pretty, and help us to get to the root cause of our issues and where we're at. So let's get started talking about each one of these things. So secret number 1 is our non-negotiables, the things in our health. Now, a lot of times we believe that everything goes back to just one thing. Like I was saying, people say it's just hormones. So we think, well, we're over 40, so our body is shifting and changing, so we're going to be fat, we're going to gain weight, we're going to be bigger around the middle. And while, yes, this is true to some extent, that is not the full picture. Everything we've got to realize is only part of what we see. It's only part of the whole. We have to put all the pieces together. It's not one isolated thing. It's putting this all together. So it's not just about our hormones. So when we look at the false belief of thinking, I've tried everything in the past, or I'm just going to be fat, or, oh, this one I get a lot, I'm already old, and so the way my health is now is just the way it's going to be because I'm old. It does not have to be that way. There again, our body can heal itself. It's what we're still putting into our bodies and how we're taking care of our bodies that is the big thing. So throw all of those false beliefs away that I've tried everything, because I promise you haven't, because I've done it, because I have felt the same way. There is nothing else for me. There is nothing else going along these paths, like everything's the same. It's not. I promise you. So give me your ear for just a little bit and let's talk through some of these things. The truth is that we need to have order in our days in what we're doing for our health. We can't just do a one size fits all. Like Jenny Craig may be great, but at the time when I was sitting in the floor, not being able to stand up, Jenny Craig was not going to help me. Jenny Craig was a one size fits all. I didn't realize it at the time, but if I had gone and bought the $500 or $600 worth of food that I needed from Jenny Craig, at the end of the day, yes, it would have had fruits and vegetables and protein, but it still was going to have some gluten because all of those things still have some of those parts, even though you're only eating a teeny tiny portion because they make the portions so small. You may lose a little bit of weight just simply because you're eating less. But once your body gets used to eating less, it's going to go back to the norm. It's not going to stay off. It's not going to stay because your body's going to say, okay, well, this has become normal to eat this amount, and so I can gain weight or I can stay where I'm at now. So you may lose 10 pounds, which is going to be your water retention. It's going to be your extra stuff that's just in your body. The body's saying, oh, well, I'm eating less, so it does let go of a little bit of fat, but that's it. Once it gets to a certain point, your body, if it's in a dysfunctional phase, and then that dysfunction state, and you're still having that's not getting to the root cause. Your cause, you've got overweightness. You've got other issues there. You've got your diabetes or Hashimoto's or cholesterol or all of these other things. All of those things are there. That's your root cause is not because you're eating too much. Your root cause is not going, that little portion of a Jenny Craig meal is not going to be wrapped up in the diabetes. Like your diabetes is not going to be affected because of this teeny tiny portion that you're eating. We all know that diabetes, you have to pay attention to the sugar that you're eating. That's what feeds the diabetes. Same thing with candida. Candida is yeast, which is an overgrowth of yeast. Sugar feeds that. Sugar makes it bigger and more, and just it keeps getting bigger and bigger, which can cause parasites. The parasites just inside your colon begin to, which are bugs basically, they're hatching eggs, and there's more and more and more of them. So those get more and more out into your body. So when that happens, it causes all these other issues. Well, that's coming from the things that we're putting into our bodies. So even if you're eating that little teeny tiny portion of Jenny Craig, that's not getting to your root cause. Yes, you might lose a tiny bit of weight, but you're not getting to the root cause of why do you have these actual health problems that are going on over here. So we have to get to the non-negotiables. The non-negotiables are, which you may not like this, but gluten, dairy, and sugar. Now you may say, I don't have issues with gluten. That gluten is not a problem. You may not even know what gluten is. Gluten is actually a binder that they put into breads. And that's what makes the bread squishy. It's what makes it stick together and makes it fluffy and makes it pretty and makes it yummy. When you take that out, the bread is not near as soft. It does not taste near as good and tasty. It crumbles, it falls apart. So that's why if you've ever had gluten-free bread, that's why, because it does not have that binder in it. The gluten is the binder. Now, but gluten was not put into food until like 50 or 60 years ago. So like bread long ago did not have those kind of things in it. A lot of our flours, there's a lot of hidden gluten in things. Like if somebody is making, you think about when you're making a sauce, like any kind of gravy, you're going to put flour into that. Well, the flour has gluten in it, and it is just putting more gluten into your body. Therefore, you're causing more more issues every single time you use it. Now, you may think that you don't have problems with that and that you're not sensitive to it at all, and I would never have thought I was. I didn't understand. I didn't even know what gluten was. I didn't know what that meant at all. But then when I had taken all of it away and I was just eating these vegetables all the time, I felt so much better. I didn't know that I was sick before. I didn't know. It wasn't until they start telling me that I have diabetes and high cholesterol and blood pressure issues that I even knew that anything was wrong with me at all. It wasn't until I was sitting in the floor crying and not being able to get out of the floor that I knew that there was a real true issue going on. And even then, I just thought it was because I'm just overweight and I've just got to lose the weight. And that was as far as in my thought at the time was going. But then as I start researching and I realize, oh my goodness, it's these other things that are causing the problem, then it made a difference. Nobody, no matter who it is, really needs gluten. And I know it's going to be a shock, and I know that that's just a real downer for a lot of people, because if anybody loved bread, I loved bread. Like, I literally could sit and, like, if you have Logan's near you, oh my goodness, their rolls. Like, I could eat all the rolls. Like, give me the basket of rolls and no food, and I would have been perfectly happy. Go to Olive Garden and the little garlic bread. Oh my goodness, give me all the garlic bread. Like, don't care. Like, I don't even want to eat at Olive Garden anymore, because, like, their salad is amazing. Can't have the croutons. Salad is amazing, but I don't want the salad without the bread rolls. So, you know, it's kind of a pointless thing for me. Like, don't even tempt me with those things, because I absolutely loved bread. So for me to be able to get rid of all of that was huge, but it also, like, that made a huge difference in my life. Sugar is number 2. The non-negotiables: gluten, sugar, dairy. Sugar, of course, feeds more parasites, feeds more candida, feeds more issues in our body. The sugar is horrible. Sugar acts in your body like cocaine does to a drug addict. It's that same high that you get from having cocaine. It is terrible. Your body doesn't need it. It's not good for us. Now, there's lots of other kind of sugars that are really good that you can use. There's the stevia is great to use. I know it's kind of got a little twangy taste, but it's usually not. It's not horrible. And once you get used to it, it's not bad at all. Coconut sugar is not near as bad. There's a lot of different things that you can do in way of picking different sugars without the white regular granulated sugar. You do not need that at all, but we can get sugar from other sources. And then dairy is the last one. Almond milk is a great choice. We've swapped out almond milk, and actually everybody prefers it. I guess we've drank it for so long that's just, you know, whenever, like, here lately, I think so many people are drinking almond milk that then they're, like, when I go to the store, like, I have a hard time sometimes getting the almond milk, and then there's, like, regular milk. And so it's really funny, because if I have to get the regular milk, everybody just dies. They're like, oh, it's so gross. But dairy does the same thing. It turns into candida. It turns into, it's got so much sugar in it. It's really like sugar water. It's really not doing your body the good that it really needs to. It's not, you're not getting near the vitamin D that you should. You're not getting all the calcium that you need from that. So it's really something that we have to get rid of. It's a non-negotiable to get rid of those 3 things. Those 3 things, if you cut those 3 things out, you will see such a tremendous amount of help come to your body just with those 3 things. Now, there are some other issues. There's other health problems that we have that are going to have to go a little deeper than those, but probably over half, 60 or 70% of our issues can be dealt with from those 3 non-negotiable things. Just cutting those 3 things out and being very careful about the things that we put into our body every day. That's huge. Now, number 2 is deficiency, insufficiency. I know that's a lot to say all at one time, but deficiency in how our body is being efficient in what we're putting into it. Now, we have to be realistic that years ago, like when my grandparents were little and growing up, like they were healthy. They were healthy people. They ate like a lot. Like my grandmother cooked tons and tons of food. Like they had a farm and they grew their own food, all the things. But they were never overweight. They were never, like, didn't have any kind of heart problems. Now, my granddaddy died at 90 something. I can't remember, 93, 94, something like that. He had never had any heart problems. Like, his heart just stopped just suddenly. Like, that was the first moment. And actually, it ended up, it was just a mitral valve problem that they could have fixed. But they said he was too old for them to go in and fix it at the time. And which now they probably would have gone ahead and done that. This was years ago. But they wouldn't fix it. And so he died just a couple of months after he found out he had that mitral valve. And so that was what he died from, which was something they could have actually done something about, which is sad to me. So I don't know how, I mean, he was healthy. Like the year before, he was still putting lights on his house and all of that kind of stuff. Like they were healthy people. But I say that to say that they were very particular about, they weren't overly particular about the things they ate. They just ate normal. Like they ate bacon and eggs and cheese and all of those things. But my grandmother also, like, they grew their own food. And they had good nutrients out of the ground. But now we have spent so much time growing food out of the same plots of ground that our ground don't have the nutrients in it like it used to. We're not getting all of... And then on top of it, they pick things before it really is ripe, because that last little growing process is when all those nutrients really get into the food. And so they go ahead and pick them and ship them off to the stores before they're even good and ready. And then, of course, we're not getting all of those nutrients. And so we are deficient in our amounts of things that are going into our bodies, all of the ingredients, oh my goodness, all of the nutrients that we need. So our bodies have to have certain vitamins and minerals. That is a must. A lot of times when we start having mental problems and we're not thinking clearly and we are getting tired and run down, or we're not utilizing all of the things in our body the way it should, is because we don't have the minerals that need to be there. So we want to make sure that we're putting good minerals back into our bodies. Now there again, you know, earlier I said I love Young Living. This is one thing I love about Young Living, is because they have minerals that are all the necessary minerals that our body needs. There's nothing added to it. It's just the straight minerals. There's no pesticides and stuff like that where it's grown. So every day we take minerals from Young Living that we use every single day to help keep that balance and make sure that we have all the vitamins and minerals that our body needs and is utilizing all of that. Because even if you're eating the 10 or 15 helpings of vegetables every day, you still have to have more because you're not getting near enough out of that. Now, then that brings me to a whole nother subject. Even if you're eating the 15 helpings of vegetables and the 10 helpings of fruit, I don't know what it's really supposed to be. I just say that. I mean, it just always seems like a whole lot. And then the 5 or 6 helpings of protein, and then you're supposed to have like this big, huge, long row of breads and all of the little pyramid thing. You know, like if you get all of those things in, you're eating all day long. You're really not balanced. I mean, I don't know who in the world ever made that pyramid to start with, but that's like, to me, the stupidest thing ever, because if I actually ate everything that it said to eat on that little pyramid, I would eat all day long trying to get all of those things in, and I just can't. And then therefore, we're still unhealthy, we're still overweight. So that's my little soapbox of the whole pyramid thing. That just drives me crazy. So deficiency is a big deal. That's secret number 2. Secret number 3 is dysfunction, dismantling dysfunction. Now, what does this mean? Now, to me, this probably is the most important. I probably should have put it as number 1 because I feel like this is probably the most important one of all. Because when I was sitting on the floor feeling like I was just going to die at that moment, one of the things that was going through my head was, I'm too fat. Nobody loves me. Nobody sees me. How could anybody want me around because I can't take care of the people I've got sitting right here? I had listened to all of the voices that every single time we had a baby, somebody said, don't you know what stops that? Why are you bringing another person into this world? It's so bad. Why in the world would you want 6 kids? Why in the world would, like horrible things. And I'm standing here huge pregnant at the time, and somebody's still saying these things to my face. And so many times I would internalize that, and I would start feeling less than, when all of my being, I knew that all I ever wanted was to have a bunch of kids. Because if good people are raising really good kids, then we can keep good people in the world. But if all of the bad people, they're still having lots of kids. There's a lot of druggies out there and a lot of people out there doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and they're having lots of kids. Because I tell you that the drug dealers have a lot of kids so that they can grow their kids into being more drug dealers. So why not us who are really trying to teach our kids godliness and grace and love and kindness? We have more kids, and we really put more good godliness back into the world to overtake that bad. But that doesn't seem to be our philosophy. We seem to be going the opposite of that. And let's not have more kids because so much bad is out here. But the good has got to overcome the evil. And we have to grow our kids into overcoming that evil and giving them strength to be able to do that. And at that moment, sitting in the floor, I had none of that. I could not see that at that moment. And I realized I had to come out of that to be able to raise these kids the way I knew that they were supposed to be raised, and to do the things that I knew I was called to do. And that is what dismantling dysfunction is all about. It's about learning to take ourself, our emotions, our mental capacity back to be able to do the things that we're called to do. Because we are called to serve. If we're not serving in some way, what is our purpose? Our purpose is nothing. If we're not raising our kids to do what's right and to be all that they're supposed to be, and helping to teach them how to love other people and how to be the hands and feet of Jesus, then we're not really teaching them anything. Because they're going to school and they're learning all kinds of crazy stuff at school, but we're their parents and we're called to take care of them, and we're the ones that are supposed to be loving them and encouraging them and helping them to be all that they're supposed to be. But if we're not mentally able to take care of ourselves and emotionally capable of functioning, then we can't do any of that. If we're tired and exhausted and can't even make it to the kitchen to make a salad, then we can't be all that we're supposed to be. So when we start thinking about dismantling the dysfunction of our emotions and our health, and because all of it goes together, because if we emotionally can't do things, then we're not going to physically do the things, which leads into our health deteriorating more. So if our self-image is nothing, and we're listening to the voices of all the negativity and all the bad and all the nasty and all the news, everything that's out there, and we're listening to that more, then our bodies can't desire to go out to do more. We have got to take back our mental capacities. We've got to be able to bring our emotions into balance so that we can do the things that we have to do every day. So how do we do that? First, we have to have a good self-image. Now, that is a very hard thing to come by sometimes because we hear the outside voices, but we've got to learn to only listen to ourselves. So when you hear somebody say everything that's coming into our minds all the time, let me see if I can find my little person. I make the kids do this all the time. I show them this little person constantly, and it just, now they're like, oh my goodness, you know, they've had to see it so much, and I don't know where I put my little person. Okay, think about a little head. A little head. There's little lines, just like little antennae coming into the little head. I can draw it. It won't be as pretty, but I'll draw it. So this is our head. Now, we don't really know where the mind is. We assume the mind is in our head because we think that that's where we think from, but we really don't know. Like, nobody has ever seen the actual mind itself. We have our brain. The brain does lots of things. It's a control center. Our brain can do so much. Like, it's more powerful than any computer there is. But yet we act like we're stupid because we've allowed somebody to tell us when we were 10 years old that we were stupid and we were never going to learn anything, or that we could never amount to anything, or that you're never going to go to college because you're not smart enough. And so we internalize that. We allow that to become part of our rotation of things in our head all the time, when in reality, our brain, I don't care who you are, your brain is better than any computer out there. There was a brain that thought up that computer and created the computer. And it didn't take just one smart person to do that. It was a group of people that came up with that, not just one person. Everybody has skills. Everybody has, even if you think that you don't, you've got skills. You've got the ability to do all the things. So this is our little head. Now, pretend like we've got a little body, little arms and legs. This is our body. Okay, so here's our little body. This is our head. These are all the antenna. These are all the things that come into our head on a daily basis. So like the news stuff we hear, the television tells us all kinds of stupid stuff. Like we even listen to crazy stuff like television shows, like things that they say about stuff. Where our parents tell us things, even when we're adults, people tell us things and we internalize it and we go, well, they must be right. I can't do that because they said I couldn't. And all these things coming in, the newspaper, all the things that we read, all the things that we hear, all the things that's there, all of these things are coming into our head. This is our conscious mind. Our conscious mind, it only, like it can accept or reject whatever you put into it. You can, like if, say the news says the world is bad, it is horrible. And so like you can say, yes, the world is bad and horrible. When it gets to your conscious mind, you have the option right then to choose. We can choose what we do. We can choose everything. We choose how we feel. We choose how we're going to react or respond to a situation. We choose how we are going to do anything and everything. We choose. It has nothing to do with John, Joe, Bob out there that has told us how stupid we are. They don't get to choose what goes into our brain and what we think and what we feel and what we see. That is our conscious mind. Our conscious can decide, I'm going to accept this particular thing or I'm going to reject this particular thing. Somebody tells me I'm stupid. I can keep that in there and go, oh, yes, I am so stupid. Oh, my goodness. Or I can say, no, that's Jim Bob's choice over there to say that. That doesn't mean it's true. Just because he said it does not mean it's true. So then, from our conscious mind, those thoughts go into our subconscious. From here, we choose. It goes from our conscious into our subconscious mind. In our subconscious mind, it only knows what we tell it. So at this point here, we choose to accept it or reject it. So somebody says we're stupid, and so it goes into our subconscious mind. In our subconscious mind, they say you're stupid, and you go, oh, it must be true because they said it. Okay, it's true. I'm just stupid. And so we keep thinking that over and over and over again until we believe that it's true that we're stupid. Now, what if? What if you decide, you choose that you're not stupid? You choose that. Now, I don't care if you've taken every single test your entire life and they all were failing and you made all F's on every single piece of paper. You made all F's because you thought that you were not worthy of making a better grade. And I know you think, well, I wasn't sitting there thinking, I'm not going to make a good grade today. You think that you've done all you can to do this thing. But I promise you, like, I've started really becoming way more aware of everything that I think or do, or like when I'm doing something, there's always room for some sort of improvement. Even if you're doing something and you're like, okay, so the house is always dirty. It never is clean. It's always a mess. This is one of my big ones because the house drives me crazy if it's dirty. Well, okay, what makes it dirty? What really truly makes it dirty? Clothes piled up, needing to be swept and mopped, needing all of the things to be put in its place. Still, that's a perception. You could say, okay, I'm going to take 10 minutes and I'm going to pick up the things here and there. The kids are going to have this particular job to do. Like in 10 minutes, we're just going to have the house looking neat. It don't have to be perfect, but it can be neat. And then you can choose to say, okay, the house is clean because we took 10 minutes to make it look neat. You can choose that. Or you can continue to think it's still filthy and dirty. Even though I took the 10 minutes to straighten up everything, it's still filthy. You choose that. It's all in how you think about the situation and what you're putting into your mind about that particular thing. So even if you are taking a test and you failed every single test ever, you still are not stupid just because you have failed every test. It means you just did not put forth all of that effort that you could have to figure that out. It may mean that you may have needed a different tutor to help you to figure it out better. Maybe a different perspective now with the YouTube. Oh my goodness, like if I don't understand something when we're doing math is like my subject that is not my favorite. And so it's one that I don't put a lot of effort in for myself in the past. And so I have to really make myself help the kids. And it's a good thing that a lot of them can do a lot of stuff on their own. But if I get stumped on something, I YouTube it all. And I'm like, okay, I need to know how to do this particular kind of problem. And I put it in and you can find a video on it. I swear, like every kind of weird algebra problem, we have found a video on it. They may not always be fun because it seems like they're really boring people that are doing these little videos, but you can find it and you can figure it out. And I'll watch it and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And we'll go from there. So there's always a solution to every problem. We are the only problem that we will ever have, but we're also our only real solution. So if we have this problem, we can also find a solution to the problem. We just have to put forth a little effort to find the solution. Sometimes that's not always what we want to do. We don't always want to put forth that extra the extra effort to get to that solution. When I sat in the floor crying and upset, I knew I was depressed. I didn't feel very pretty at all. Like I felt ugly, which meant that I felt like my husband didn't think I was as worthy anymore and I was not near as pretty. And so like all of these things were just always something that I dealt with on a continual basis. So I had to change how I felt about myself. I had to change my perception of who I was and that I was really truly loved I had to change how I thought he perceived me. But in the end, he didn't perceive me differently. He didn't look at me as fat and ugly like I felt like he was. But he was feeding off of my energy, because he didn't come home and I wasn't like, hey honey, I'm so glad you're home, and make sure everything was clean, and make sure the kids were put up, and make sure not put up like cleaned up, and all the things. I spent them on the shelf, and he said, I'm all out here. Oh, like that would be horrible. I felt like that sometimes. Let's just stick you over here for the moment and we'll come back to you later. But like putting everything where it was, like I just didn't feel like doing that. So he would come home and I'm like just sitting over here in a corner. Kids are everywhere, clothes everywhere. It was a mess. It was horrible. Somebody was mad. Somebody's always screaming. He's like, what in the world? You know, like if they come home in chaos and things are crazy, then they're not going to be at their best either. It doesn't matter what kind of day they had. They could have had a great day, but they come home and you're not even caring at all about anything, then they're not going to care either. And so it took me a really long time to learn these things. And to learn that I have a choice. I have a choice every day. I choose what kind of feelings I'm going to put off, what kind of energy I'm going to put out there, you want to be the energy that sets the temperature in the room. And not a bad temperature, but a good temperature. Like when you walk in the room, you want people to feel more excited and more happy and energized, and not like, oh, good grief, there she comes. Oh, why is she here? Because she's such a downer. And I felt like that's really where I had gotten, is to walk in a room and just feel like, oh, everybody look at me because I'm so sad. You know, nobody wants that. Nobody wants to be around that. It's not fun. It's not good. That's not where you need to be. So we are going to learn to dismantle that dysfunction in how we think about ourselves. Stop thinking and worrying about what everybody else says. Put good things into your mind. Good things. Like if I start getting remotely depressed or remotely sad about anything or worrying too much about something, and I'm internalizing that way too much, because once it gets to that subconscious, it's there. Like whatever you put into your subconscious mind is there. So once it's there, you've earned it at that point. So start putting the good things in. So if somebody says, okay, you're stupid and you're crazy. So put the good stuff into your mind. Internalize the good stuff. So instead say, you know what? I am amazing because I can do lots of things. I'm great at many things. Like I may not be able to draw, but I am very good at typing. I mean, I don't care how goofy it sounds. I don't care if it's the smallest little tiny thing it is. Or if you enjoy cooking, like I love making this particular meal. Make it and be good at it and enjoy it and make it look pretty. If it's cleaning the bathroom and that's what you're good at, say, I can clean one heck of a toilet and I can make it look gorgeous and clean and pretty. That's what I'm good at. So no, I'm not stupid. I am awesome. I don't care if it's stupid. Your mind, your subconscious mind will start pulling in other things that you're good at. It will start telling yourself, well, you know, you remember this other thing you did that was really great the other day. Like you changed that baby's diaper and it stayed on for several hours and it didn't fall off. Like I always thought that was like a really great thing because many of mine ran around naked a lot and we had poop in places because, you know, they just did. It was rough. But, you know, when you get to that point when you can say, oh my word, like, look how clean you are. You have stayed clean all day long. Like, I have only messed up one outfit today. Look at me. Like, I think I'm amazing. Find the stupid things. I don't care how stupid they are because eventually you start laughing about those stupid things and you're just like, oh yay, that was the dumbest thing ever, but look what I did because I am so amazing. So I want you to understand that those three things, those simple three things, those three easy, simple secrets can begin to change the way you think about yourself and the way you do your life every single day. Now, in those three things, there's so much more that we can look at and help, because sometimes even in those mental capacities, even in that dysfunction, sometimes there's some things that is in your body that's not working the way it's supposed to, and we need to get to the bottom of it. We need to understand what that root cause is that's causing that mental block, or that not being able to fully grasp reality. Sometimes, you feel like you're just living in this daze. There is a reason for feeling like you're not fully there, like you're walking in this, I know there's been so many times that I'm just like in this fog, and I'm like, where am I today? Like, how did I end up here? Or like driving and all of a sudden end up somewhere, and you're like, how did I get here? Like, I don't remember even driving to this place. Those kind of things are because we're stressed and because there's too much other stuff on the outside going on. It's like we need to pull all that stuff away. There are some things that we can do to really help those things. There are way more things that we can do to really get to the root cause of what your illnesses and problems are, and in your health issues. There are so much more that we can do to get to the deficiencies and understand which things you're truly deficient in that is specific for you, because we are not a one-size-fits-all people. Every single person has different things. Every single person has issues that are just for them, that have been their particular thing. So we want to really break all of that stuff down. So I'm so excited about being able to start Elevate Your Health Academy. It is going to, it's been like in a little beta state over the past year or so. And so we've been able to help hundreds of people in this little beta place of being able to get people to this place of feeling better and feeling more well-rounded and balanced, and getting their health back where they can actually take care of their body, and feeling excited. And she couldn't even run anymore, but she's been able to run again. There was a one lady who had just had a baby and felt like she just was constantly sick and constantly could not function at all. And we were able to, she was kind of in that place where I was, just in that horrible place. And we were able to help her get everything back into balance. And so she is just thriving greatly and being able to homeschool her kids and take care of her people and do all of the things that she's supposed to do. Being able to get people from this place of just complete depleted health, deteriorating, and bringing them back, getting the root causes down to a minimum, and understanding how to let our bodies heal itself. That is huge. We've got to allow our bodies to heal itself, because that is where God intended our body to be. He made it so amazing. It can do so much stuff. So through this academy, we are going to be able to help so many more people, because it will all be online. You can take each course, you can do it as you go. It's an 8-week course, and you have certain amounts of homework that you do each day. Now, they're not homework like, let me sit and write pages and pages. It's not like that. It is sitting down, listening to the video a week. You listen to one video, and then you have something that you do every single day to be able to help your body begin to do the things it needs to do. So like simple things like, today we're going to cut out this particular thing. So start off, you're going to do a cleanse, a week-long cleanse. Now it will be, it's a little more restrictive, but it allows your liver to calm down, because everything starts with healing the liver and making it better to start with, and healing the gut, and then working into these other areas. So we've got to get our liver feeling good and being happy, and then we can start working on some other areas. So we start off with a cleanse, then we start working into each day. We have just certain specific actions that we take every day to make everything work and do and function the way it's supposed to. And it's like little tweaks that you're going to do every single day, little tiny tweaks. Now, along with that, through getting very specialized, specific instructions on how to do these things over an 8-week course, you're also in this process going to be getting, we do an intake evaluation, and we will look at all of your past, your present, how all of these things. We do a pH test. The pH test is amazing because that can tell us so much about your body, like whether it's too acid or too alkaline, and what we need to do to bring that back into balance, which is amazing. We will also do a wellness scan, which allows us also to further see those stressors that are in your life, that is going on within your body. And this will look at every single system of your body, what is stressing each of those systems, and then what we need to do to bring that back into balance. So many things that we're going to be able to do, because even though we have those non-negotiables are the gluten, sugar, and dairy. Like, nobody needs those, period. But then there's a lot more, because if you're looking at things like diabetes, that's not going to be your only things that you're going to get rid of. We're going to do some other tweaks to help the diabetes get that gone. Hashimoto's, there's a whole lot to help that, get that, all the things back into balance, so that you can really help your body to feel the way it needs to. Fibromyalgia, there's a lot of tweaks that you're going to need to do to make everything not ache, because you don't want to hurt. You want the inflammation to go away. We are going to reduce that inflammation, but it's going to be very specific to you. It's not a one size fits all at all. So the Elev8 Academy would be like all of the 8-week course with all of the things, and going through all of the studies, all of your everyday homework, plus your videos and everything. It's worth $2,500. The pH testing itself is $150. And in your wellness scan, you'll get the wellness scan as well. That's $97. Your personalized wellness plan and your supplement plan, like what you would need specifically for you, and how your plan would lay out, like your specific meals for you, is $297. And then you get the personalized evaluation as well in our little bundle. So that's $3,294 worth of value. Now, I know that sounds like, oh my word, that's a lot. So if you were to pay for each one of these things separately and to go through each one of these things individually, yes, then that would be what it would add up to be. But because we've got this special, and we're getting into the introductory of the Elevate Your Health Academy, and we want as many people to be able to utilize this as possible, and to be able to see more people having more balance in your life, and being able to get rid of those, get down to the root cause of what's going on in your life, and to elevate your health all the way to the top, like emotionally, physically, spiritually, everything, all of the things, and do all of the things. We want as many people to be able to come in on this as possible. So because you're on this webinar, and because you're able to come in today to start this with us, then your introductory offer is going to be $297, which is huge. That also still gets you into the academy, the 8-week course, that gets your pH testing, your wellness scan, the evaluation intake form and personal evaluation, plus getting your personalized meal plan and supplement plan specifically for you. All of that for $297. That is huge. Now, I know that it seems like there's just so many things. Like, I know when I start naming off all of that stuff, that just seems like a whole lot, and it still feels overwhelming, but that's what I'm here for. I'm here to take all of that overwhelm out. Even when you start looking at the 3 secrets and you're like, okay, well, I can do all of these things. Like, I can get rid of the dysfunction. I can take care of getting rid of the gluten and sugar and dairy, and I can get rid of I can look at supplements and things like that. Like, we feel like we can do all of those things, but then we still get in the moment of it, and you're still overwhelmed. You're still in the middle of not being able to do all of those things by yourself, because there's still little pieces that you're going to have to need to make all of that work, because you're still not going to be to the root cause. And we want to get down to the root cause of what is causing the problem to start with. We don't want to have these intermittent things, because that was one thing that I had come into a problem with, is after I had lost some weight, but then I also still was having these problems, and I was still going back, and I would try to add food back, or I would start eating something again, and then I would get sick. And then I was like, well, what in the world? Like, I didn't understand this gap. I didn't understand, this is what the doctor was telling me. And he was telling me I needed to be on this medicine. I didn't want to be on this medicine. I didn't want to do this stuff over here. But then there's this gap. And then I knew that this more of a natural wellness thing was better, but I didn't know how to bring the two together. I didn't understand how to make it all mesh. I didn't understand what was going on in the middle of all of that. And so by going through all of this work, all of this time, I've been able to piece all of these pieces together and be able to bring it into one beautiful flow in one spot. And so all of that guesswork is taken out by being able to be a part of the academy and come into our group. Then you will be able to take all of that guesswork out, take away all the 10 years that it took me to be able to get to this point. All of that's taken away. And so within a couple of hours, we can have your wellness scan, your pH scan, all of your things done to be able to begin putting the pieces together and be able to just start doing the work. And now the work's going to depend on you. Like, you still have to put in the effort, but it's going to be little pieces, I promise. Because week 1 is going to be all about just getting your mental capacity to the place where you can actually feel like that you can actually go to the kitchen to get the salad. Like, that's all week 1 is. Let's just do the mental capacity work that's going to get you to the kitchen. Like, that's it. Week 2, we're going to break up some of the paradigms that is keeping us held in this place of thinking that we're not worthy and that we're not good enough, or that we've tried everything and failed. We're going to break all of that apart and be able to get in there and start doing the work. So all of that will be broken up, and then we can put it together, which bring it back in and say, okay, throw this out because we don't want to listen to this person. We don't want to hear those voices, so we're going to throw that out. But we also need to bring this in, because this is what's going to help us to be healthy. This is what's going to help us to get to that root cause of what's going on in our body. And then we're going to, week 3, we will go to the next step, and we will start looking at all of the bringing together that dysfunction, dismantling all of that dysfunction, all at the same time while we're bringing your health into the mix. We're going to grab this piece, we're going to throw this piece out. It's a beautiful symphony all the way through the whole 8 weeks, and it helps your body to do the things that it needs to do in an easy way. Now, this is not about quickness. This is not about losing a certain amount of weight in a certain amount of time. This is not about getting ripped abs or anything like that over the next 8 weeks. This is just you taking care of your body and getting yourself back to a place where you can actually stand up, take care of your family, take care of your husband, take care of the food, take care of the house, take care of what everything is going on around you, and to be able to focus on you at the same time of taking care of your family. I mean, these two, putting them together is beautiful, because you have to have all of the pieces. Because if you're a mom, you feel like you're in 50 different places, you can't be in 50 places. You need it all in one. You need to be not overwhelmed, and you need to be able to have it all in a pretty package every single day. And we can do that. We can do that, and that's our goal. That is our purpose, is to bring the beauty back to your house and make your home a home, and help you to be able to take care of your family the way it needs to be taken care of, and to bring about the balance because there again, it's not always be perfect. The house is not going to be perfect. The food is not always going to be perfect. Your health is not always going to be perfect, but we can make huge strides very quickly to make all of those things come into play and make it all work beautifully together. And it will be perfection for you. So join me for the Elevate Your Health Academy. $297. Just click below It will take you to the order form and get you set up into the academy, and then you'll start getting some of the things. We will start each Monday. You will get a new video each Monday through the 8 weeks. It is amazing. Now, if you decide that at the end of the 8 weeks that you think this is something you want to continue, because 8 weeks is not very long, and you feel like, okay, this is something I really love and I really think this is going to be great, but you don't want to be dropped like a hat, because I know that's me. Like once something's not in your head every day, then you kind of tend to forget about it. And so you want to make sure that you keep going and you keep doing the things and you keep doing better, and we get to that bottom, the very, very bottom of the barrel, and we want to scrape away all the badness. So if you decide you want to do that and do the year-long subscription, you can do that as well. It's $100 a month after the 8 weeks. It's $100 a month to continue on and be in the academy for the entire year, because the $297 is our introductory offer, getting you started and getting everything ready to go. And then after that, it's $100 a month if you want to continue on through the rest of the year. So I'm so excited. I'm so excited to share all this with you. I'm excited about finally getting this out and getting it to the world, because I feel like this is something that we need for moms, especially because I feel like so many times that's where our gap is, because we take care of so many different things and that we kind of get lost in the mix. So I want to make sure that we're not getting lost, and that you're being seen and heard and loved and taken care of, and getting all the things that you need specifically for you. So I'm so excited. I cannot wait to share time with you and to be with you and to learn all of the things about you, and be able to help you to get to the root of all of your problems and all your illnesses and all of the things. Even if you feel like you don't really have necessarily illnesses, but it may just be one of these portions. And even if it's just mental that you're worried about, or emotional that you're dealing with, some of those things still go back to some of the other stuff we were talking about, and some of those other secrets that we were talking about. All of it ties together. Our entire body is one big mix together. So we still have a lot of work to do no matter what. So I love you. I cannot wait to get to meet you and get to know you better. And I will talk to you soon.